Hello YouTube, it's me Vdeogamer, and I'm back with the How to Draw Video Game Characters tutorial series, and today I've got quite a special request today. Here's the deal, guys. TreyFrey2 asked me to do a digital drawing with my recently purchased drawing tablet, the Bamboo Create, and he wanted me to draw my own original Pokemon characters, which I have rough drafts of right here. Don't laugh at my drawings because they're my own original drawings. I don't laugh at yours, you don't laugh at mine. So here, we have a couple different people, Pokemon things. We've got Chauniathan, which is supposed to be the evolved stage of Lantern. If Lantern were to have an evolved stage, it would be awesome like that. And then down here, we have Kikobiwa, which is based off of the kiwi bird from real life. And it's a little feisty thing. And up here, we have Nucleo, which is probably the smallest out of the ones I've just drawn, and he's pretty much a nucleus with electrons floating around him. But I'm going to give you guys more details about these characters as we draw. So, without further ado, let the drawing begin. Oh, I'm not using a desk today, I'm using the computer, which is a desktop, but I draw on a desktop, regular desktop. Which one's real? So, we've begun our recording on the computer, the desktop, and this is the first time I've used the tablet for a YouTube drawing. I've used the tablet a couple times before, but I think I'm pretty good at it personally, but I'll let you guys be the judge of that. We're going to use Photoshop for this drawing because I started using Photoshop and I really like all the different tools that I have to use in this program because it's just such a massive program, and it's awesome with tablets. If you're familiar with Photoshop, you'll see that I've switched it to painting mode, and that just specifies the workspace, so that way it's best for me to work with. Let's do it. Alright, so here's our piece of paper. We're going to see if we can turn this sideways real quick. We're going to get started on this drawing. We're going to start off with black, and we're going to create a new layer, and this is going to be our sketch layer. This is basically where the sketch is going to go. As you can see, I have a little bit of lag, but it's alright. We're going to zoom in. We're ready to go. I'm going to start off with sketching where I want my characters to be, like I do in real life, except this is a desktop. So, we want Chauniathan to be the center of attention here. And you notice, just in the sketching phase, I'm not too worried about where my lines are going just yet, because I know it's going to be alright. So we've got our characters all sketched out. Like I said, I'm going to focus on one character at a time, and we're going to start off with the simplest guy first, which is going to be Nucleo. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Nucleo as we're drawing him. First, I made a new layer, and this is going to be for his actual final sketch. So first I'm going to make the sketch very light. That way it doesn't distract me too much and I know where I've made my new lines. But anyway, Nucleo is really, really small. He's not microscopic like his actual person is, but he is very, very small. Inside of Nucleo, I want there to be some other shapes. These are sort of going to represent protons and neutrons and stuff. We're going to take our eraser tool and we're going to go over what we just made at 50%. And we're just sort of going to turn it gray pretty much. Now, Nucleo is very active, he's loyal, and he's always ready to battle. But the problem is, he's very, very small, so we need some sort of counteractive attack. And he does have one. It's called self-destruct. Yeah, he's cute until he explodes. And since he is a Nucleo, he pretty much self-destructs big time. Like a nuclear explosion big time. And there's Nucleo's eyes. 2 rings coming around, and on these rings we have even smaller Pokemon called Nucleos, based off of electrons. We want to work on his eyes a bit more. And now we're going to draw the faces on the Nucleos. Basically, they just have 2 arrow eyes. Like, they're so full of energy they can't even open their eyes because they're spinning so fast. And because the Nucleos are spinning so fast around Nucleo, he's actually generating a force field to protect him in battle. And now, once we've gotten our full final drawing done, you can go ahead and get rid of the sketch behind him, and that cleans things up a lot without you having to erase anything, really. So we're just going to move that all the way down to the bottom here real quick. And now the next guy that we're going to be working on is this guy. And this is Kikobiwa. Sorry for forgetting their names, but I've only known these characters for about a total of like 30 minutes now. So for this guy, I was basically trying to find out if there were any birds whose name started with the letter K. So I just searched it on Google, and they gave me a list, and one of those happened to be the kiwi bird. And I sort of wanted the name of this character to have a K and an I in it for the beginning of it. So I looked up this bird, and it was very inspirational. It's just this short little bird that can't fly, but they're very, very cool. And I think they're only in New Zealand, but they're called the kiwi bird. And pretty much that's what this is based off of, Kikobiwa. Except the only difference is that this guy, instead of being cute and nice and fluffy, is going to be very feisty and sort of clumsy and very vengeful because of his height. He's made fun of a lot, so he ended up hating almost everything. And now, he's just out to peck people to death with his big long beak. Here we have it. That's his eye. We're going to bring about the lower portion of that, and then yet another line to emphasize his anger. Kind of reminds me of a Spearow. And now what I did basically was I tilted the whole thing at an angle, so that way I could work on his beak better. Unfortunately, I do not have very much choice for how much angle I can tilt it at, but this will work. I made his beak a little bit short in the sketch, so we're going to make it bigger. That's good for that part. We're going to come on down here to his feet, and he's got a little bit of a puffy bunch of feathers around his feet, and then from there his feet come out, and they're going to be rather thin until we come down to the feet themselves. And his wings are just going to be very, very small. And then, just as a little bit of detail, I decided that I would add some rings around his feet. And there's Kikobiwa for now. I'm planning on adding some feather textures and whatnot in the coloring process, but we're not to that point yet because we still haven't drawn the main attraction, and that's the gigantic Pokemon that looms behind them both, Chauniathan. And the reason why this guy is my favorite is because Chinchou and Lantern have always been my truly favorite Pokemon because they are anglerfish, they are water and electricity types, and they defy all reason and logic, and they're also pretty cool looking, in my opinion. I don't know. You guys should tell me what your favorite Pokemon are, and then I'll just repeat what my favorites are, and that's these two. And then this guy is almost my new favorite. If he was real, I would go out and find this card. So, Chauniathan, as you can tell, is a big, gigantic beast. Lives in the very deep parts of the ocean. And a little bit about its character. Chauniathan is a very patient, meaning that if he can't find food for a while, he'll wait, and then when he does find it, he's not just going to react violently and blow his chance of getting it. No, he'll wait there until lure in his prey slowly and patiently. Just like I'm having to be so patient to draw these lines. because I am not good at all at drawing lines with the tablet. Now the sketch is making things a little bit difficult to see, so I'm going to erase part of the sketch, specifically around this area, around his mouth, and around his eyes. Basically places where we don't really need it anymore, and it's sort of distracting. Alright, we're going to come down, and we're going to continue work on Chauniathan's body. And at the tip of Chauniathan's tail here, it's not completely just a straight solid tail. Just like how Lantern sort of has a spiked tail, a little bit more detail on its tail. We're going to do the same for Chauniathan here. And to finish up the detail on Chauniathan's tail, we've got a line coming down. We're going to make Chauniathan's body fins now. Chauniathan's body fins allow it to move extremely fast in the depths of the ocean, much faster than your regular average Joe anglerfish. And here we have one more back fin going right on his back. Chauniathan probably has one of the bigger light orbs. That way he can attract his food a little bit better, even though he's already patient enough. Still gotta make it a bit easier. He's a big guy, he needs to eat, so. I don't know how I've been saying it this whole time, but it's actually Chauniathan. If I said it wrong, punch me in the face. Just kidding, don't do that. Speaking of people punching me in the face.
Punch.
Oh.
Yeah.
You guys will know what I'm talking about soon enough. And now I'm going to be coloring my fictional Pokemon characters. I'm going to try a method of getting down a base coat color that's going to be a little bit different. We're going to start on Chauniathan here. We've got our color layer, which is going to be layer 12, and we've got our drawing layer, which is layer 6 copy. That's the actual artwork. So we're going to come up to layer 6 copy, and we're going to select. And now what we're going to do is, since we've got all the inner part of Chauniathan selected, we're going to start coloring just Chauniathan's inside. And we're going to start off with a blue color. And there we go. One solid color for all of Chauniathan. And this is simply just our base coat color. We are going to do more shading in a moment, but this is just for starters. Now we're also going to do the same again. We're going to select different parts of Chauniathan. Use the paint bucket tool to fill those parts in. And I'm using the magic wand tool. Basically, this automatically selects all the edges for me, so that way I don't have to. And if you find that the magic wand tool isn't doing good enough a job, you can actually come up here and choose the polygonal lasso tool. Basically, that's going to allow us to make our own selection. I also wanted the tail to be yellow as well. Alright, so the whole tail is selected. We're going to choose our paint bucket tool again, make sure we're on the color layer, then we're going to fill in the tail as well. There we go. And we're going to continue on like we have been doing, filling in the biggest spots of color that we possibly can. Another very interesting lasso tool that Photoshop has is called the magnetic lasso tool. Basically, you can drag this guy along the edges of your area that you want to color, like this, and then he automatically draws the line around for you without you really have to worrying about all the different points. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create color layers for both of these other guys, and we are actually going to start off with a white color for these two. Basically, we're going to use the magnetic lasso tool, and we're going to outline all of the area that we don't want to be transparent. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come down to our layer for color, and we are going to make it white, just pure white, and that totally cuts out all the color from beneath our character. And we're pretty much going to use the same process that we did for Chauniathan on our other characters. For Nucleo's force field, I sort of just want it to be sort of glowing. So we're going to use a blurred red. Then on the inside here, we'll have some blended red. Then I wanted to try a little bit of a color scheme with inside of Nucleos. I want to put purple and green with inside of him to sort of represent the neutrons and protons and stuff. And then I want his body to have sort of like a translucent red look to it. And now we're going to take sort of lightish red, and we're just going to color inside of Nucleo. We want it to be more red around the edges more than the inside. Now, using our lasso tool once more, we're going to begin the shading process. And pretty much we're going to do what we did beforehand. I'm going to outline the area where I want the shadow to begin, and the area this side is going to be a highlight, and everything behind that is going to be a darker shadow. To blur our colors, I've actually decided to use a different type of brush, and it's called the mixer brush tool. Basically, this is going to wet down all our paint that's already here, and it's going to blur them together quite nicely, without giving us very many harsh edges, yet still giving us some very nice highlights. Do a comparison real quick. The paint on Chauniathan looks very good so far, but we want to add a few highlights to the yellow to make it seem like it's glowing a bit. So we're going to take the other two out of the way, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my regular brush, I'm going to take some white, and we'll take a rather large diffuse brush, select the color layer, and we're sort of going to put it in the center here, just like this. We want the lightest part in the center. And then we're going to go back to our normal brush tool. We're going to work on a shadow for parts of the yellow. Basically, we're going to take this tool, and on the edges, we're just going to put a little bit of it. This is going to make you appreciate the center where it's brightest a little bit better. It's going to make it seem even brighter than it really is. And there we go. I would say that Chauniathan is pretty much wrapped up. Nucleo, I think, is pretty much done. We just want to do a little bit of fine work on the Ecleos that's around him, which is those electron things. Use our lasso tool for the biggest blocks of shading, and I want him to sort of be having the same shading scheme that's going on for the other characters. However, his can be a bit more jagged because his is actually going to consist of some feathers by the time we get all his line work done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our regular brush tool. We're going to grab out a fan brush and make it bigger, and I think this is what we're going to use to make our feathers. So now it is time to put the finishing touches on our original Pokemon drawing. Once I get this done, you guys ought to let me know what you think. The few final things that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a background for my characters to make them stand out a bit more from the white. It's going to be my main background color. I'm just going to paint across here lightly I want my edges to completely black. That way it puts more emphasis on the characters. And we're just going to work our way over. And the best thing is I'm not losing my characters because I put them on different layers. Now this is also going to allow you to see where you accidentally made some mistakes in your coloring process. As you can see here, I used a white paintbrush to fix that spot up when I should have used an eraser, and we have a little bit of a texture mark from Kikobiwa's feathers. So we'll have to go ahead and take care of those once we get this color on. Now we have a few rough edges on Kikobiwa and our characters just in general, but I think there's going to be an easy way that we can fix this. I'm going to create a new layer under Kikobiwa, and I'm just going to take a little bit of a white. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to separate my character from the background a little bit. And I've actually seen Pokemon posters do this before, and several other types of posters as well. They just take a white and just sort of go around their character. On Chauniathan, there's one last thing that I wanted to do, and we're going to make yet another new layer to do this. I want to sort of make it look like the yellow parts and the glowing areas on Chauniathan actually cast off some sort of light. So we're going to use a very big, very diffuse brush, just like this. We're going to, on our new layer, bring down our opacity a bit, and we're just going to cast off a bit of a glow. And here is my finished digital painting, all printed out on some nice regular copy paper. I didn't want to use photo paper because that would use a lot of ink, of which I do not have, but still, the paper version looks pretty good. But you can see the digital version at my DeviantArt account online. Thank you guys for watching my video. If you liked the drawing, you should let me know in the comments below. And also, one thing that you must know is that this was a request. I take requests on drawings. If you'd like to send me a request, go to my channel, go to send me a message, and then send me a message with your character and a link to see that character in picture form, like from a Google image link or something like that. And then after you do that, you can subscribe, so that way if I do make this request thing into a drawing, you'll be notified of when I do. Since this drawing was a digital masterpiece, it didn't actually take up a page in the How to Draw sketchbook. So there are still 5 pages left. The next 3 pages are booked because I've already got requests planned for them, but the last 2 pages are open, and they're going to be the last 2 drawings of the How to Draw Video Game Characters Tutorial Series Sketchbook number 1. Not that the series is ending, but I'm just going to start a new sketchbook, so just wanted to let you guys know that. Now, you guys can go and do whatever else you want. You can check out some of my other videos, or you can go actually draw something while you're waiting for the next episodes of How to Draw Video Game Characters to come out. So, once again, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye. Whoa.
Hello. Hey everybody,
Mayfield 101 here.
Gova Blackbird 52.
Hello, Supersonic Speed 95 here.
today I'm gonna be entering
Vdeogamers, or however you pronounce it.
Vdeogamer's mini con